After being stopped by Hagler, a bronc that Tim's old friend Mike sabotaged by placing a bag of rocks beneath his saddle, episode 10 finished with Jack unconscious and being transported to the hospital in an ambulance. Jack was in the collision and did break 8 ribs, but he is still alive and is going home that day. Jack's return home so soon after such a serious injury upset Lou and Amy. Later on in the show, we did learn that Jack made a bargain with Lisa, which is why he is returning home so quickly. Being his wife, Lisa naturally understood this and consented to take Jack home early despite the doctor's advice in exchange for his promise to take it easy at home. While they cared for him and took on some of Jack's responsibilities, Lisa, Lou, and other family members had to remind Jack to let go and rest. Amy handled every task in the barn. While Tim was out looking for Mike, Lisa rode out to see Gary Walker, a cattle buyer who was interested in buying the late Calvers from Heartland beef. After Gary attempted to take advantage of Lisa by making a quick deal merely because she is a woman, Lisa even negotiated a better deal than what Jack had discussed with Gary. Additionally, even though Jack's recovery took a while, by the end of the episode, he had already started moving around a bit, which ideally indicates that during the subsequent episodes, we will see Jack fully recovered and returning to his pre-injury state. For the purpose of holding Mike accountable for what he did to Jack, Tim spends episode 11 trying to find Mike. Caleb was also included on the trip. We could tell right away in the show that Tim was dissatisfied with the steps the police had taken to find Mike. He therefore made the decision to do the task on his own. Tim called Caleb after ensuring Jack's safety at home and requested his assistance in locating Mike. Caleb was hesitant to accept Tim's request for assistance, given how enraged Tim is. Caleb was in, though, once Tim assured him that he would go to the police, rather than deal with the man directly when they found him. The beast was difficult to miss, so the first task was to look through all the local RV sites for Mike's vehicle. And it worked. The manager of an RV park just outside Hudson was contacted by Caleb, who was informed that there was an RV that matched the beast's description. The guide who answered the door of the RV when Tim and Caleb knocked when they arrived at the park, however, was not Mike. As it turned out, Mike had sold his recreational vehicle, RV, at a discount to a young man seeking an RV for a cross-country journey. The one saving grace in this scenario was the fact that Mike wasn't the cleanest and had left a lot of trash in the RV. So after Tim gave the child $100, he allowed Caleb and Tim to search through those trash bags. They dug around and discovered numerous receipts from one bar. Tim had a hunch they would run into Mike at that bar because he is a creature of habit. Tim was correct too. When they arrived at the pub, Mike frequently visited to wait for him. Caleb called someone to let them know where they were, and that Tim was truly frightening him this time because he was terrified of what he may do to Mike once they did locate him. Caleb had actually called Jack, it turned out, because Jack arrived and talked Tim out of it just as Mike arrived, and Tim seized him to make Mike pay for what he did. Tim loaded Mike into his truck and began driving to the police station instead of assaulting him or worse. However, Mike began reminiscing about the good old days on the way there. Tim first didn't want any of it, but ultimately something in him changed. Tim learned that Mike simply wants a family when the two men finally discussed what transpired after Mike's accident. As a result, Tim drove Mike to the bus stop rather than the police station to be dropped off, profusely apologized to Mike for the accident and for excluding him from his life, gave him some money, and instructed Mike to see his estranged sister in Winnipeg. Because despite what Mike may believe, he does have a family, and perhaps it's time to get back in touch with them. And after a brief moment of fear when Jack and Lisa inquired about what Tim did with Mike, once Tim returned to the ranch, and Tim said that Mike is in a better place, they laughed about how the Winnipeg winter was enough of a punishment for Mike, and spent some time together while Jack was home. Jack confronted Amy about becoming intimate with Finn in episode 9 of this season, and the two got into a heated argument about Jack not trusting Amy's intuition, and him not wanting Amy to be wounded by a cotter. In episode 10, the two were still not conversing at all, which made Amy's trauma from the tragedy even worse. After all, she wouldn't have had the chance to resolve their differences and reconcile if Jack had been lost that day. After Jack returned home from the hospital and early in this episode, there was still tension between the two. But fortunately, after Amy told Logan about almost losing Jack, the two finally spoke. Amy expressed to Jack how she felt when he informed her that Finn wasn't a good man, and she acknowledged that she should have handled the issue in episode 9 more diplomatically. Of course, Jack expressed regret. He eventually told Amy about his relationship with Finn's great-grandfather Al when she prodded him to do so. Jack explained to Amy how Al deceived him by chasing his late wife Lindy, then lying about it and blaming Lindy for everything. Jack said that he had threatened Al, which caused their friendship to collapse, when Amy questioned what he had done about it. Amy afterwards gained a better understanding of Jack's behavior after learning about her and Finn, and when Jack, this time without passing judgment, questioned Amy about Finn, she informed him of the resolution. Naturally, Jack was empathetic, but it wasn't until later in the show, after he had time to reflect, that he went back to what they had discussed and comforted Amy that mistakes are inevitable, and urged her not to become bitter since Finn broke her heart. It was a genuinely lovely way to end an argument between Jack and Amy that lasted for several episodes, and at times appeared to have the potential to make or destroy their tight friendship. Amy temporarily removed her wedding rings at the end of the episode before putting them back on, perhaps indicating that while she isn't quite ready to move on from Ty just yet, she is making gradual, steady progress toward healing. Therefore, it is unlikely that Amy will actually find true love this season. However, if Season 17 and beyond are released, perhaps then she will meet the perfect guy and be prepared to reopen her heart. To visit a horse at Hillhurst Stables, Sherry called Amy. According to reports, Sherry recently purchased Journey, a new horse, for her granddaughter Miley to practice dressage on. While Miley rode Journey for the first 2 times, the horse was great, but now Journey started acting out and tossing his head. So in the hopes that Amy could identify what was wrong with Journey, Sherry recruited Amy's assistance. Being immediately smitten with Miley, Logan asked Amy if he could take the initiative this time. Amy eventually consented because she already had a number of other horses for clients and extra work to do, while Jack was out of commission. Logan started to lose hope, especially after Miley had to take a break, because she was too upset about the lack of development to continue. After all, Logan wanted to lead Journey in order to win Miley over, which was part of his motivation. However, Amy was there to guide Logan in the proper direction by suggesting that Miley should be approached in order to learn more about her, and that perhaps Journey wasn't the issue here. Logan caught up to Miley after heeding Amy's advice, and Miley revealed to Logan how she competed in barrel racing before switching to dressage. When Logan asked her if it was difficult transitioning from rodeo royalty to dressage, Miley tensed up and Journey started acting out once more. Logan began to realize that Miley might actually be the issue after he finally got over his obsession on her. He advised that perhaps Miley and Journey needed to have some fun rather than work out more. Amy liked the concept because she already suspected that Miley's emotions were the source of Journey's inappropriate behavior. In order to persuade Journey to follow Miley around the poles, they set them up. Miley first struggled to unwind and let go, but she soon succeeded in doing so, and all of a sudden Journey was carefree and collaborating with Miley. But as soon as Miley boarded Journey once more, all the gains seemed to have been undone. Miley was even thrown off of Journey's back. When Amy and Logan saw this, they hastened to Miley's aid. Amy explained to Miley and Logan that she noticed Journey was afraid, which is why he reacted. Miley became even more agitated as a result. Amy instructed the young lady to stop and get ready. Amy followed her instinct and asked Logan to ride Journey when Miley returned to it. And Journey appeared to be a completely different horse, all calm and collected. As a result, Miley and Logan both acknowledged what Amy had been observing for some time. Miley is the issue, not Journey. Afterward, the 3 of them chatted in the barn, and Amy eventually assisted Miley in understanding the issue. Because Miley is attempting to be someone she is not, which the horse senses as threat, she tenses up every time she mounts Journey. Journey is letting Miley know that something is awry by tossing his head. As a result, encouraged by Logan and Amy, Miley finally told her grandmother, Sherry, that she wanted to stop competing in dressage and go to barrel racing instead, using her real name, Miley Evans. And Sherry wasn't only encouraging. She also expressed her pride in Miley for forging her own path. As a result, Miley returned to running barrels at the episode's conclusion, and even agreed to mentor Lindy in the sport. Even so, Logan and Amy shared a sweet little moment. We have been seeing Katie and Lou's turbulent relationship for some time. They exhibit wonderful behavior one minute, and then stop doing so the next. And although I had anticipated that this would have been handled by now, this episode demonstrated that there are still issues with the mother-daughter bond. Lou asked Katie to go out for lunch and plan a girls' afternoon early on in this episode. With everything that transpired with Jack, Lou decided it was a fantastic idea to leave the house and engage in some self-care. Lou offered, but Katie rejected, stating she had homework to finish. Lou was a little put off by that, but she made the decision to give her daughter some room. But Lou decided to bring up the mother-daughter date after noticing Katie acting strangely after seeing Logan and Miley hugging, which proved that Katie was genuinely crushing on Logan. Lou prepared for manicures and pedicures by pouring sparkling grape juice into champagne glasses, and although Katie was initially hesitant about the whole situation, she eventually consented to spend time with Lou and even afterwards acknowledged that it was a good idea. Until Lou commented that Katie seemed a little anxious, perhaps because she has a crush on Logan. Everything was going smoothly, and Katie again retreated. And at the conclusion of the episode, we saw Katie crying in her bed when Lou knocked on her door and requested a conversation.